Hello, everyone. Tassif here, back with another live stream. And I am here right at 10 p.m. Central Time from Madison, Wisconsin. And as you can probably tell, I still have a little bit of allergy symptom, but that's okay. It's much better. I was actually um, feeling much worse in the morning, and now I'm doing better. So I am back with a live stream. I appreciate you all being here. And what I'm going to do is I will post my email address. Um, I'll post my email address for everyone to see. And then I'll also post my website address so people can connect with me. And as I'm waiting for more people to join, let me just maybe wait for a minute or two more before I go into the discussion. I really didn't get to announce my live stream ahead of time. Just a few minutes before the live stream started, I set it up. I usually try to do it at least an hour before the scheduled live stream. So anyway, sorry for that. It's been a busy time. It's been a busy few days, and that's why I wish I could announce this live stream, an hour or two before, which I couldn't do. So I don't know. I think as soon as I start the live stream, people get notifications, and that's how they come in and join. As you are joining, please say something in the chat window. Participate. I would appreciate that. I see there's already a like for this live stream. Somebody gave me a thumbs up. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. That's what I expect you would do. That's what I hope you would do. Give this video a thumbs up and stay connected with me. And I see a couple people have already joined. As more people join, we can have a great discussion. Like I say, this is a community. I want this to be a community of freedom-loving Americans, freedom-loving people. If you're not an American, if you're from some other country, but you're a freedom-loving individual, you believe in God-given rights and freedoms, please participate and join and stay connected with me. Now, I'm happy to tell you that my channel has crossed the 1,200 subscriber mark. Okay, so as of this moment, there are more than 1,200 subscribers on my channel. Now, compared to some of the other channels out there, this is still a very, very small channel. It's a channel that is still in its infancy, because I know there are channels out there, YouTube channels, where people have tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands and over 1 million subscribers. Okay, so compared to all of that, my channel is still in its infancy. But I'm so very happy to see how rapidly it is growing, how much momentum my channel has gained over the last few months. And I started doing these live streams since January. So go back to December, I was not doing this live stream. I started doing live streams since January. So January, and also not the 1st of January, somewhere in the middle, I guess, or towards the end. I don't remember, but sometime in January, I started doing live streams. And so February, March, April, we're still in the month of April. So, I haven't, it has not been even 6 months since I started doing the live streams. And so it's really encouraging to see how many people are tuning in for my live streams, and the kind of engagement I see in the chat window. People share their thoughts and opinions. They ask me questions, and we exchange information. We exchange knowledge. We learn from each other. And that's really the purpose of this channel, is to have a community. As I keep saying, I keep using that word over and over again, that I want this to be a community where we can share our thoughts and opinions and learn from each other. So it's wonderful to see my channel growing, uh, and so thank you all for your support. Now, uh, as I said, I'm still dealing with some allergy symptoms, but I'm much better. It's gonna get better with time. So thank you for being patient, and I expect that you'll forgive me if you hear these sounds of me dealing with my congestion and my runny nose. So thank you, everyone. I know we're past the 6-minute time mark, so I'm going to get started with today's discussion. And today's discussion is really just open ended. I don't have, I usually never have a script. And today I don't even have bullet points, okay? What I usually do is have a few bullet points of things I want to discuss. But today I don't even have that. As you can tell, I just got back home literally few minutes ago. And then I set up the live stream a few minutes before I started it. And I just started the live stream. I didn't even change. Usually I'm wearing my comfortable home clothing, comfortable clothing, or I'm wearing some kind of, Hawaiian style shirt or my Tommy Bahama shirts. But not today. I'm still dressed up because I had a meeting that I needed to be at, and I drove back home. Took me about a little over an hour, and I didn't get to change. I said, you know what? I want to start my live stream right at 10 p.m. I don't want to delay that. I don't want to start it at 10:30. I'll start it at 10. So what do I need to do? I just need to sit in front of the device and do it. So I didn't get to change today. So I'm still wearing my outside clothes. So very important topic, but really open-ended discussion. Why are basic necessities so expensive? Sometimes we have to ask really basic questions. Okay, just go down to the basics as you're trying to understand what's happening in society. We're always reacting to things that are happening around us. We always are. I don't know whether we realize it completely or not, but we're reacting. Okay, there are so many things that are happening in the world that we don't have control over. And although we try to have some kind of influence on the things around us, but really most of the time we're just adapting. We're just spending each day as it comes, and we are subject to the society around us, whatever nature has for us, whatever God has for us. We just accept and we adapt. And if we want to talk about the economy, the economy is something that ideally we would expect the people to have some kind of control over the economy, right? Because we elect the leaders who sit in different government offices, whether you're talking about your local city hall, whether you're talking about your state legislature, the different state level agencies, whether you're talking about federal government. We elect the representatives who then take care of things, who then govern, right? And so if you look at things from that standpoint, one would expect that we will have some kind of control over the economy, over the direction of the economy. Now, obviously, we don't have much control over foreign economies, and now we live in a sort of like a global community. If something happens in the Middle East, something good or bad, that affects us. If a war breaks out somewhere in or some military conflict somewhere in Asia, that affects us, whether it's even though it's far away from where we are physically located, just because There's so much of international trade, there's so much of international travel and international cultural exchange that if something happens in some part of the world, something good or something bad, that affects us here in America. But keeping that aside, one would expect that we would have some kind of control over the direction of our economy, right? Because we elect the representatives who govern at the local, state, and federal level. And so we, as the people, should have some say in the things that are happening around us in society and in the country. Now, sadly, it seems that things are completely out of control. It seems that things are out of control and that even we as the voters don't have any say in the governing process. Now, whether that's true or not, I'm not going to go into that discussion, but that's how a lot of people are feeling these days. I've talked to people who said, it seems like my vote doesn't matter. It seems like my voice doesn't matter. It seems like we, the people, we don't matter because there are so many things happening that we don't want to see happening. There are so many things that the government is doing that we don't want to see happening, but it's happening. And, that has been the case primarily since Joe Biden came to power. And I know different people will, praise or criticize different administrations. People will have things to say about the Bush administration. People will have things to say about the Obama administration. People will have things to say about the Clinton administration, the Trump administration. And a lot of the comments that people have are either driven by the facts that they observe or by the political affiliation, the political bias that people have. And that's okay. But I think that since the Biden administration came to power, things have really gotten out of control. And we, the people, we, the Americans, we, the voters, a lot of Americans are starting to feel that our votes don't matter. Because just imagine, just think about what happened in the last 4 years, approximately. We had a great economy just prior to COVID. We had a great economy, and businesses were opening up, businesses were expanding, prices were under control, gas was affordable, groceries were affordable, people could go on vacations, people could go on long trips, and there was a sense of safety and security, right? The border, it seemed that the government was doing a lot of work to bring some kind of stability at the border, some kind of control over who gets into the country. Obviously, we have had illegal immigration issues for decades, but still, it seemed that under the Trump administration, things were kind of, going in the right direction. And then came Joe Biden, and now it seems, and this is not just me saying whatever I think. I talk to people. I talk to people, and people share their thoughts with me. We have conversations, and I know. One second, my friend. And I know that, a lot of people feel that voters really don't have a say in how the country is being run, because a lot of things are happening in our country that people don't agree with, people don't want to see happening. By the way, as I am pausing, I want you to engage in the live chat window, my friends. I see a few people are already tuned in. And so what I would recommend that you do, I would encourage you to participate in the live chat window. Let me write this. Ask me a question. I'm going to write this, okay? So people can see. Ask me a question. Share your thoughts. Write your opinions. Participate in the live chat window. please. See, I said please, and then I also put a smiley face. So please participate in the live chat window, my friends. So as I was saying, a lot of people in society, they feel that they don't have control over things anymore. And this question that I ask, this is a very basic question. This is not um, some some intellectual question. It is not some kind of complicated question. It's not a question that is going to show the level of knowledge that the person who is asking the question has. No, it's a very, very simple question that I've asked. Why are basic necessities so expensive? Sometimes we have to, I mean, we think about so many different things happening in society. We think about so many different problems. We think about so many complex issues that we forget to ask the basic questions. We drift away from the simple things in life towards more complicated stuff. But I want to bring you all back to the basic question. The basic question is, why are basic necessities so expensive? Why is jam, strawberry jam, so expensive? Why is bread? Why did bread go up in price? Why is it now more expensive to get an oil change? Significantly more expensive to get an oil change for your vehicle than it was 4 years ago. Um, why are taxes going up in different communities? Why are hotels so expensive? Why is gas so expensive? Gasoline. Why are utility bills now more? Why do you get a bigger bill for the same amount of electricity that you used 4 years ago? I mean, these are just basic things to think about, my friends. Very, very basic things. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna have to, at some point, I should have been more organized. At some point, I'm gonna have to find my charger, okay? I think I kind of lost track. Anyway, all right. So, and you know, we feel this every single day. And the reason I decided to talk about this topic is because I experienced it today. You know, I bought a few things, and for each and every item that I was paying for, it seemed something that used to be 70 cents is now $1. Something that used to be $1 is now $1.50. Something that used to be $5 is now $7.50. Something that used to be $10 is now $13 or $14. And depending on what item you're talking about, you know, really everyday things, everything's gone up in price. Everything has become more expensive. And so when you add up everything that you're spending your money on, and the extra cents and the extra dollars that you're spending on each item, that has a big impact at the end of the month on your budget. It has a tremendous impact. And so what's been going on is people have been foregoing many things. People are spending less on certain things, and the situation has gotten to the point that you can either afford food or medication. You know, you can either make payments on your student loans, or you can go on vacation. You choose one. You can't do both. You can't, because things are so tight now. If you keep making payments on your student loans, then you don't have money left over for vacation. If you go on vacation, you're gonna fall behind on your student loans. If you buy healthy groceries, then you don't have money for medication. If you want to buy medication because you absolutely need those, then you can't afford good and nutritious food. And so what's been going on is people are stressed out. People are extremely stressed. People are extremely upset, and a lot of people are reaching the point where they feel hopeless. And it's a sad reality. I don't know how much we really understand how serious things are in society right now. I mean, how intensely people are struggling. I know everyone's making some kind of sacrifice. Someone's giving up this to afford that, someone's giving up that to afford this, and people are having to choose and make sacrifices. I get that. We all understand that. um, Somebody who makes, you know, $1,000 and spends $800 probably is spending a full $1,000 now and then some, right? So people are having to pull from their savings. And maybe somebody who makes $6,000 and spends $3,500 is now spending maybe $5,000, and so has less money to save. So some people are falling behind, and some people are just, they can't keep their nose above water. And I just want you to understand the seriousness of the situation that we are in. It's happening in, I can't say every household, but millions of homes across the country where people are struggling to make ends meet. And this is just getting more and more serious as time goes by. And so the question is why? Why is it happening? Why is it that the basic necessities are so expensive? It's because of poor governance. At the end of the day, it all goes back to the leaders that the people of this country elected. And, it's kind of, it might be a bold statement, but I have to say what I have to say. The people made the wrong choice in 2020. I mean, there's no doubt about that. So when I say this, I'm actually referring to millions of people out there who voted for Joe Biden. You all made a very, very big mistake. Okay. I mean, somebody's got to point it out. Just because many millions of people voted for Joe Biden doesn't mean those many millions made the right decision. No, you all made a very bad decision. When you were at the polling booth and you voted for Joe Biden, you made a very, very big mistake. And that's what we're paying for now. Okay. So anytime you want to blame someone, um, you have to look at the size of the population that you're blaming. Something goes wrong and you want to blame someone, and you can say, oh, that person made a wrong decision or took a wrong step, and that's why we're in this mess. But in this case, I am blaming all those millions of people who voted for Joe Biden. I mean, because at this point, we are in such a massive crisis. We are in such a massive crisis that there's really nothing more to see. I mean, sometimes you have to give a president or an administration some time to settle down in office and to understand and to have the policies in place, and you have to give them some time for some trial and error, and then give them some flexibility to get things on the right track, to do good things, right? Joe Biden was elected in 2020 November, started office in 2021 January, and we're almost in the middle of 2024. Okay, another election is coming up, and at this point, I think we've seen enough that I can boldly say to all those people who voted for Joe Biden, sorry to say this, guys, but you made a big mistake. When you voted for Joe Biden, you basically pushed this country towards the economic crisis that we are now facing. Okay, so JW, it's wonderful to see that you're here. Thank you for joining. You are the first person today to write something in the chat window, other than myself, who posted a few things. I just posted my email address and my website and a few other things that I wrote. So JW, it's wonderful to see that you're here. JW writes, yep, they made wrong president choice. So thank you, JW, for agreeing with me. JW writes, I've been on for a few minutes, but was handling an errand, so I couldn't type yet. Well, not a problem. I'm glad that you're now participating in the live chat. So the question, why are basic necessities so expensive? Well, the sad reality is that all those people who voted for Joe Biden, they voted for this inflation. Maybe they didn't realize it at the time, but they did. Sometimes people make wrong decisions, but they don't necessarily realize the bad decision that they're making. And that's exactly what the Biden voters did. To all the Joe Biden voters out there, when you voted in 2020 to elect Joe Biden, you basically voted for inflation. You basically voted for $7 per gallon gas, because that's what has been reported. That's what has been reported in California, in a place, at a gas station. It was $7 per gallon, more than $7 per gallon. I think it was $7.29, if I remember correctly. So more than the federal minimum wage, hourly minimum wage. And those who voted for Joe Biden, they voted for this reckless spending. And JW is asking, do you think it's mostly from printing money? I think it is, JW. I think it is. I don't know if it's mostly from printing money, but it's obviously, money printing is definitely a big factor. But it's not just that. It's the Joe Biden's war on fossil fuels. Joe Biden has declared through his policymaking really a war on fossil fuels, a war on coal, oil, and gas. And Joe Biden, wants green energy. And I just hate every time I talk about green energy. Like, I just hate it. What is green energy? I mean, it just sounds so nice. Green. I mean, how can you criticize anything that's green, right? I mean, the trees are green, the plants are green, lush green landscape, the green, beautiful countryside, the green dollar bills. Green is supposed to have this positive aspect. Whenever we say green, or like the green light, which means everything's great. It seems like the Democrats, all that they are doing is they are using language. They are using language. They want to portray this image of green energy, which is supposed to make you think, oh, how beautiful, how wonderful, all the world's problems will be solved. We're going to have this beautiful energy source and we're going to live happily ever after. Well, that's not the reality. Green energy basically means what it means. You're paying $7 per gallon gas. Okay? And it's just unbelievable. So all those folks who voted for Joe Biden, you guys voted for this, okay? And I know there are many millions out there, who I'm sort of blaming, but I gotta say what I gotta say. I'm not gonna hide my thoughts here, okay? The reason I have this channel is because I want to express what's on my mind. And when I'm talking to several million people out there who voted for Joe Biden, and that includes a lot of my friends too. I have friends who voted for Joe Biden. I have people who I personally I like them, but I don't agree with their political views, and they voted for Joe Biden. And I'm including all of them. Anyone who voted for Joe Biden, you basically voted for this mess. Maybe you didn't realize at the time, but you should have, because we were talking about it. The conservatives were talking about it. We were saying, we were warning that if you vote for Joe Biden, if Joe Biden gets elected, then energy will be unaffordable, prices will go up, we're going to have all kinds of problems. So, because we could see the warning signs, because we knew that Joe Biden won't, keep the border secure. Maybe people didn't realize how bad it was going to be. Honestly, even I didn't realize how bad it would be. Just to be honest, I knew that Joe Biden would be like a bad president. His administration would be awful, but I didn't realize it would be this awful. Okay. But anyway, I kept telling people, vote for Trump, vote for Trump, vote for Trump, re-elect Trump. But you guys didn't listen to me. And I'm talking to folks who voted for Joe Biden. You guys didn't listen to the logic. You guys didn't listen to the reason. You guys didn't listen to the good ideas, the good policies. You voted for Joe Biden, and now we're stuck in this economy. And yes, even I didn't realize that this was going to be this bad. So Joe Biden's administration has really surpassed all predictions about how bad his administration would be. His administration is worse than we could have imagined. Okay? So let's see some comments here. JW writes, will also, because cost of gas is high, so that causes all the products down to the line to be more dollars, right? Exactly. Whatever product you're making from your factory, you're going to have to get the product to the store shelves, right? And if it's costing more for transportation because of high fuel prices, that means the end product, the price tag of the product that you're producing is going to be more. And to produce your product, if you're using electricity, if you're using gas, whatever, if you have to keep the lights on in your factory and you have to run the engines and the machines, and fuel price is high, then obviously the cost of the product goes up by the time it reaches the store shelf. So that's affecting every aspect of the economy. Let's see. Irene Baldwin is here. Irene Baldwin gives JW a thumbs up. JW writes, hi Irene, which state are you in? I'm in Ohio. Irene writes, New Mexico. Irene, welcome. I hope things are fine in New Mexico. I'll tell you this, Irene. New Mexico needs a conservative governor, which the state doesn't have right now. So I'm hoping in the future New Mexico will have a conservative governor. Irene writes, green energy needs fossil fuels to create panels, turbines, etc. Plus the batteries aren't safe and are pricey. Exactly, Irene. Exactly. Great point. I mean, those wind turbines, and trust me, there are some really awful looking wind turbines here in the state of Wisconsin, especially if you go to this place called Iowa County, Grant County, which is in southwest Wisconsin, and you're driving and you see the beautiful farmlands, and then they've got some awful wind turbines, okay? Those things just turn and turn, and what's shocking is a lot of times those things don't turn. Okay, they just sit there because there isn't enough wind. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Okay, it's just unbelievable. You want to put wind turbines in places where it's windy. If people agree to that, great. But when I'm driving in southwest Wisconsin and I see those wind turbines, and sometimes those turbines are just sitting still. They don't turn, or sometimes they're turning very, very slowly, like this. It's like, how much is it worth the time and effort and the investment to put one of those wind turbine towers up, and that sits for, it doesn't even turn properly? It's just awful. Okay. And we've got those things in Wisconsin. I absolutely don't like seeing them, but it is what it is. That's why I keep saying a lot of things are beyond our control. Solar energy, if you want to put solar panels up in a place where it's bright and sunny, I mean, go right ahead. I've got no problem. I think, people can use the power of the sun, but those batteries, there are questions about those batteries. Like Irene mentioned, how safe are those batteries? Are there health effects of those batteries? I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I've got all kinds of questions. But if somebody wants to, put up solar panels on top of one's house, if it's your private property, go right ahead. But you have to understand the pros and cons. But those wind turbines, especially in a place like Wisconsin where we get a lot of snow and freezing temperature, what happens when the turbines freeze? What happens when the wind turbines freeze and they don't move? Anyway, I got all kinds of questions. Solar, if you want to do it on private property, it's still okay. But you've got to pick a place where it's sunny. In Wisconsin, people put up solar panels, and I'm thinking, you know what? We don't get that much sun, which is sad, but that's okay. That's the reality of the climate that we live in. And if we don't have much sun, is it really worth putting up all those solar panels? Anyway, it's a private decision, I guess, that people make. JW writes, yes, and with the EVs needing to be charged, what will happen when we have tons of EVs and big power outages? Great question, JW. Great question. Uh, what's interesting about electric vehicles is, and once again, I'll say this, people are free to decide what they want to drive. If you want to drive an electric vehicle, go right ahead. If you want to drive a gasoline powered vehicle, go right ahead. If you want to drive a hybrid vehicle, do it. No problem. But you have to understand the reality of the fuel source. So people who think that they are just, they are using electricity to charge their electric vehicles and there's no tailpipe emissions, blah, 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 blah. I mean, you have to understand that in order to produce electricity, you need fossil fuels. You need fossil fuels in order to produce electricity. So while you may not be pumping gasoline into your car, while you may not be seeing those tailpipe emissions because you drive an electric vehicle, understand this, that to produce the electricity that you're using for your vehicle, fossil fuels were used, okay? So you didn't use it in your own vehicle directly, but in the production process of the electricity, fossil fuels were used. And so people who think that, oh, I'm buying an EV and I'm saving the world and I'm not using any fossil fuels, that is just absolutely wrong, okay? If you think you're not using fossil fuels just because you drive an electric vehicle, you know nothing about how electricity is produced, okay? And I'm not a scientist, I'm not an engineer, but I did some simple research. You just go to the website of the Energy Information Administration and just look up what percentage of the ingredients, so to speak, for producing electricity is fossil fuel, okay? So in order to produce electricity, in the production process, what percentage is fossil fuels that's used to produce electricity? You look it up. You don't have to be a scientist. You don't have to be an engineer. You don't have to be a mathematician. You don't have to be, a big, technical, technological person. You just have to be able to read. Okay? If you can read, you can go to the Energy Information Administration's website and you can see that electricity is produced using fossil fuels, heavily fossil fuels, okay? So anyone who drives an electric vehicle, congratulations on your electric vehicle. But if you think you're not using fossil fuels, well, you don't know the reality. So please do some research and you'll know the truth, okay? Let's see. JW writes, do you think New Mexico is still set on Biden or is there any hope? All right, good question for Irene. Irene, can you answer that? Can you answer the question that JW asked? Do you think New Mexico is going to vote for Biden, or do you think there's any hope that New Mexico voters may vote for Trump? Let's see. Anyone else here? I see quite a few people who tuned in for the live stream, but not everyone's participating in the chat window. I really encourage you to do that. Please participate in the live chat window, my friends. I'm gonna pause for a second. I'll let you. I'll let you. Think about something to write. Irene writes, I don't see the question. Oh well, JW asked you. Irene, JW asked you, do you think New Mexico is still set on Biden, or is there any hope? So I'm sorry if you can't see the question. Maybe it's something with the chat window, but I can see the question. So if you want to answer that, feel free. If you know the answer, if you have any thoughts, if you don't, that's okay. We want to see more engagement and more participation in the live chat window, and that's why I'm encouraging people to participate. And so if you answer that question, that's a way to participate in the live chat. So Irene, thank you. And all right, give me 1 second, all right? Sorry, I had to take a quick break, but I'm back. You know, when you're watching TV, what's interesting is obviously there are commercial breaks, and if you're watching a show that's 1 hour long, people can, you see several minutes of ads built in between the show, right? Whatever show you're watching, maybe a news channel. But when I do the live stream, I do it, continuously without any break. And so, every now and then, on rare occasions, I may need a few seconds to, look something up or to go grab something. Today I've got my water with me, but not always. So I appreciate if you understand that I might take like a 10, 20, or 30-second break as needed sometimes. So, all right. Let's see. Okay. So Irene writes, New Mexico is full of many varied voters. We have Democrats, Republicans, independents, and libertarian governors. Okay. You mean governors or voters or gubernatorial candidates? So Irene writes, okay, so Irene is writing about revenue. Irene is writing about children, seniors, and healthcare. Okay, so those are the priorities, right? Is that what you're referring to, Irene? Oh, you're saying we have had many varied governors. Oh, okay, that's what you're saying. I get it now. I get it. Um, so what do you think is going to happen going forward? Do you think that Trump may be able to win New Mexico or not? What's your thought? Let me know what you think. All right. Okay. So okay. Oh, I see. Irene wrote something. That's my view. I've lived here for 28 years only, though. Well, 28 years is a pretty good chunk of time, Irene. So if you've lived in New Mexico for 28 years, you've obviously seen a lot. Okay. All right. Okay, well, we are going to be paying attention to New Mexico, Irene, because we need to see which way New Mexico votes for Trump or Biden. Let me just see. Let me just see something. Now, in 2016, how did New Mexico vote? Let me just see electoral college results. I'm gonna see the electoral college results from 2016. Okay, give me 1 second here. So in 2016, okay, so in 2016, New Mexico voted for Hillary. I see that. Okay. Irene writes, I think everyone is tired of Biden. A lot of people are, Irene. A lot of people are tired of Biden because, they voted for Biden and then they have regrets uh, because of inflation primarily, and then the border crisis. JW writes, I think Nevada, Georgia, Arizona looking really good for Trump. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan seem like they'll all be really close, a toss up. That's a good observation, JW. And I can say that in Wisconsin, uh, so let me just say this: Wisconsin is going to depend on the vice presidential pick. Okay, it's going to depend on the vice presidential pick. So I think it would be great to have a really strong female vice presidential candidate with Trump. Okay, so if Trump picks a strong, very very intelligent, capable, and politically experienced female vice presidential candidate, I think in that case, Wisconsin, Wisconsin will go towards Trump. But if Trump is without a strong vice presidential pick, Wisconsin appears to be a bit of a challenge for Trump. I'm not saying he's not going to win. I just want him to win by a significant margin. I don't want it to be really close, okay? I want Trump to win Wisconsin by a pretty decent margin. And so that's why I'm saying, in order to ensure that he does that, he's going to have to pick someone really great for vice president. And, I think a female vice presidential candidate, somebody who is who connects really nicely with the voters, would be great. So JW is writing, do you think Trump would pick Tulsi or Kristi Noem if he chooses a woman? I'm not sure who people will like the best. So the only concern I have with Tulsi is the fact that she used to be a Democrat. Now we welcome Democrats who want to walk away from the Democratic Party and who want to join the Republican Party. They are welcome. Now, I don't believe that Tulsi is a Republican officially. I think she walked away from the Democratic Party, but I'm not sure if she joined the Republican Party. I haven't. Maybe she did. Maybe I'm not aware of that. But I know she walked away from the Democratic Party. But if Trump chooses Tulsi, the obvious question would be, why didn't you choose somebody who is a solid Republican? Why did you choose someone who, not too long ago walked away from the Democratic Party and is not, officially or solidly a Republican either? Why would you pick that? I mean, think about, just put yourself in the position of a solid Republican female U.S. senator or governor or some big political figure, and just think about Trump picking Tulsi Gabbard. wouldn't all those solid Republican conservative women in the party, wouldn't they be upset? Wouldn't they say, well, why didn't Trump pick one of us? Why did Trump pick a former Democrat? So that's my concern. So from that standpoint, I think Kristi Noem, uh, Kristi Noem would be a much better pick, because there's really no question about Kristi Noem. She's a solid conservative. She's a solid Republican. Okay, and so Kristi Noem, I think, would be a much better pick than Tulsi Gabbard. Obviously, I understand a lot of people like Tulsi Gabbard, and one of the reasons why they like Tulsi is because she's got that compelling story. She can make the case as to why she walked away from the Democratic Party. She can share her story that she was a Democrat. She served in Congress as a Democrat. And so, what is it that prompted her to leave the party? So, she can basically give the inside story of the Democratic Party, and she can make the case why voters should not vote for Democrats. So, from that angle, I think Tulsi has strength. But then again, Kristi Noem is a solid a Republican. Now, I have previously made the case why Nikki Haley would be a very solid pick, practically speaking, and I've gotten different reactions from people. Okay, some people absolutely did not like that idea, and some people liked it. But you know, I shared some data with you previously. I shared some statistics from the Wisconsin presidential preference vote results, the presidential preference vote that took place on April 2nd, so not even a month ago. And I talked about how a lot of people voted for Nikki Haley. A lot of people voted for Nikki Haley. So overall, on the Republican side, there were more votes cast on April 2nd than the number of votes cast on the Democratic side. But then, so more votes cast for Republicans than for Democrats, but still, Joe Biden got more votes than Trump did. The reason for that is a lot of Republicans voted for Nikki Haley. So more Republican votes on April 2nd, more Republican votes than Democrat votes. But Biden got more votes than Trump because on the Republican side, the votes were split. A lot of people voted for Nikki Haley. Now, that just makes me a little bit concerned, because what if those voters decide to not vote for Trump in the general election? But if Trump chooses Nikki Haley, then if those Nikki Haley voters they still stay with Nikki Haley, and if they love Nikki Haley so much that they want to vote for Nikki Haley, well, if Nikki Haley is the vice presidential candidate for Trump, then they have reason to support Trump, because by supporting Trump, they'll also be supporting Nikki Haley, right? Yeah, she's not going to be, on the ballot for president, but she's going to be on the ballot for the next best office, which is the vice president's office. And that's why I made the recommendation that perhaps Nikki Haley should be the vice presidential pick if you want to win the election. Now, I have criticized Nikki Haley previously, and anyone who has been following my channel, I've laughed, I've smiled, I've made a few jokes, and I kept asking Nikki Haley to drop out. But I also praised Nikki Haley. I did acknowledge the fact that she is a high-profile politician. She is a high-profile Republican, political figure. She served as the U.S. ambassador to the UN. She served as the governor of South Carolina. So she is definitely very successful, very knowledgeable. But obviously, I support Trump overwhelmingly, and I don't support. Between Trump and Haley, obviously my support is for Trump and not for Haley. But we have to acknowledge that Haley is a successful politician overall. And so I acknowledge that. I gave her credit because of the of her success in politics and government. But then I also kept repeating, I said, Nikki Haley, this is not your year. Don't run for president. Drop out, suspend your campaign, endorse Donald Trump. I kept saying that, and I was very happy when I saw that Nikki Haley did drop out. And I was not very happy when I saw that she did not endorse Trump. I would have loved to see Nikki Haley endorse Trump, but she didn't do that. But we have to think in practical terms now. Practically speaking, if Trump picks Nikki Haley for VP, then I think his chances of success in the general election, especially in a swing state like Wisconsin, his chances would improve. So that's my thought. Let me now read some comments here. JW writes regarding Tulsi, I believe. JW writes, no, she didn't join the Republicans, but I'm confident she's trustworthy. She's very rational and logical. She's fed up with the Democrats. That's very true, JW. JW writes, her new title of her book says something about for the love of country, leave the Democrat Party. Okay, I'll have to look it up. Irene writes, she's a free thinker too. JW writes, yes, agreed, Irene. JW writes, I actually think Nikki as VP would help him gain the most votes, but I don't think there's any way he would pick her, and I doubt she would say yes. Well, if Nikki Haley, first of all, JW, I'm glad that you are kind of thinking along the same lines as I am. Okay, you're also thinking that Nikki as VP would help Trump win the most votes. So I'm glad that we're on the same page there. Now, your next point is, I don't think there's any way he would pick her. The fact that we're really getting close to the RNC, to the National Convention, and we still don't know who Trump is going to pick for VP, and he's really not providing us with a real short list. I know he mentioned some names. I know we're talking about Byron Donalds. We're talking about Ellie Stefanik. We're talking about Tim Scott and Ron DeSantis and Tulsi and Kristi Noem. But really, I mean, if we would have known, okay, these are the three individuals that it's going to be one of these three people, just pick three, then it would have given us a much better idea, and it would really shut down a lot of speculation, because the speculation then would be limited to okay, who's it going to be from this list of three people. But the fact that it's still pretty open-ended, and that we still have no idea who Trump is going to pick for VP, I think there is a possibility that we may get a massive surprise, which is Trump may end up picking Nikki Haley. I mean, it's this. If that happens, it's going to do the maximum damage to the Democrats during the election, because if Trump picks Nikki and if Nikki says yes, then what it means is this is real unity. This is real unity, because I know a lot of Nikki Haley voters who don't want to vote for Trump. They are absolutely for Haley. And there are lots of Trump voters who don't want to see Nikki. They are absolutely for Trump. And so if Trump and Nikki, they come together and they form a ticket together, then that would really show that Republicans can unite. And so when we say that we have to unite as a party, that would be the biggest and most prominent example of unity. If Trump and Nikki get together and they form a ticket, and as JW writes, it would be strategic. Yes, it would be strategic. Put your differences aside and form a ticket. And the other thing is, if Nikki Haley has presidential ambitions, then if Trump picks her, she should say yes, because being the vice president is the closest you can get to the presidency without being the president, right? And obviously, being the vice president, it's really a step towards the presidency. So if Nikki Haley wants to be president in the future, then she should really accept the job of VP if Trump offers that to her. So that's just my thought, okay? Irene writes, what do you think about how she changed her mind about running? I think what ended up happening is when Americans for Prosperity pulled their support, um, Americans for Prosperity, they were supporting Nikki Haley. And when AFP came out and said that, they support Haley, but they're not going to support Haley financially any further, I think that was a factor. Now, I have not spoken to anyone from the Nikki Haley campaign. I don't know what the internal political calculation was, but I think that when Americans for Prosperity pulled their support, I think that was probably a big factor that resulted in Nikki Haley suspending her campaign. That's just my thought. Okay, I don't know for a fact. I don't know for sure. I haven't talked to the Nikki Haley campaign. That's just my guess. Uh, Irene writes, she told Trump she wouldn't run. Um, well, she did run, and then she stopped running. JW writes, the never Trump Republicans might be willing to vote for him with Nikki as VP because they might think she can keep watch over Trump, keep him in line, LOL. That's really what I'm saying. Now, I would disagree with the premise. I don't think that Nikki Haley, by being the VP, she can watch over Trump. Because Trump doesn't need someone to watch over him. Trump is he's brilliant. He can make his own decisions. He's extremely capable. But I understand what you're saying, JW. You're saying that the never Trump Republicans are probably going to think in that way. They're going to think, oh, okay, all right, let's vote for Trump because now there's Nikki Haley as VP, and so she can she can ensure the check and balance, right? So if Trump is going on social media and writing messages which, for whatever reason some people don't like, I absolutely love it. I love it when Trump used to tweet. I love it when Trump posts stuff on Truth Social. So I've got no problem with that. But I understand some people don't like Trump always, posting stuff on social media. So the Nikki Haley folks might think, if Nikki Haley is there, maybe she can work as kind of like a check and balance, right? To keep a sort of, Trump, in check, so to speak. So I understand what you're saying, JW, and whatever it takes to get the never Trumpers to vote for Trump, and the way you do it is by picking Nikki Haley as VP. So that's really what I'm thinking. Then again, I don't know. Yeah, check and balance. Okay. No, I get it. I get it. Yep. So JW, I think you and I are thinking very much alike. So I appreciate that. I think you understand the point I'm trying to make, and when I read your comments, I understand that you're understanding what I'm trying to say. So yes, I think we are thinking very much alike, JW, and so that's why I say that Trump should probably pick Nikki Haley. That would be a wise move, a wise decision. And the fact that we haven't heard much from Nikki Haley since she dropped out, um, that kind of tells me that, maybe there's some negotiation going on behind the scenes. Who knows, right? JW writes, the more I think about it, the more I think that she would be the best shot to get more people's votes. Well, JW, I am so happy to hear that. I'm so happy to hear that, because when I first mentioned it, remember, I used to, on this live stream, I used to actually laugh at Nikki Haley for continuing to run. And I said, well, Nikki Haley, you're not winning. Why are you running? Why are you running? Why are you running? And after she lost the South Carolina primary, I said, you know what? This is it. Now you got to drop out. So I kept encouraging, I kept asking Nikki Haley to drop out on this channel. Obviously, I've not spoken to her, directly in person, but through my channel, I kept sending the message like, drop out, drop out, drop out. And now I am saying that Trump should pick her. Okay, Trump should pick her. So I'm being very practical. I think Nikki Haley is a brilliant individual. Although, will I disagree with some of her policy positions? Yes, I think I have disagreements with her. But I'm also not going to forget the fact that she is a successful politician from the Republican parties, and so we have to acknowledge that, and we have to, respect that fact. And so, having said that, I think Trump and Nikki Haley are very different in their policy views, but still, for the sake of winning, it's important for the two of them to come together and unite. Um, JW writes, we need to win. Exactly, JW. Exactly. So, today JW and I are very much in agreement on this topic of who the vice presidential candidate should be. And if other people have thoughts, like Irene, if you have detailed thoughts you want to share, please feel free to write. And others who are watching, if you want to share your thoughts, feel free to do that. Still dealing with some allergy issues, my friends. What can I say? I'm much better today. I think when you see me, you can tell I'm much better today, but I'm still dealing with some allergy issues. And so it's gonna be a while before I'm 100%. All right. Let's see. I really want to know, what month was it when Trump picked Mike Pence for VP? Uh, let me just see if I can find it. Uh, okay, let's see. Oh, you know what? Oh, wow. So, um, let's see. JW writes, glad you're feeling better. Yes, quiet group tonight. Yep, it's pretty quiet. But that's okay, JW, you're here, Irene is here, we're having a great conversation. As I previously said, if I announce the live stream ahead of time, like an hour or two before the live stream, then I get more engagement and more people show up. This was a late announcement, and that might be the reason why we don't have a lot of people here today. But that's okay. What I would ideally like to do is announce my live streams 12 hours before the live stream. But, my schedule changes so much and things come up along the way. And so I'm not able to announce it so much ahead of time. And then, what if in the morning I say, well, I'm doing a live stream tonight at 9, and then something else comes up and I'm not able to stay on schedule. I don't want to do that. So I only announce when I'm absolutely certain that I'll be able to do the live stream. Irene writes Irene is writing about wars. And Irene is also writing, she changed her mind after not intending to run against Trump, but we can disagree. Yeah, no, Irene, I completely understand. You're asking a question about trustworthiness, right? How much can you trust this individual for an important government office versus that individual? So I get it. I understand. So some people are going to prefer Tulsi, some people are going to prefer Kristi Noem, some people are going to prefer Nikki Haley for practical reasons, And, there will be others who are going to say, hey, it's got to be Ron DeSantis because he has really proven himself. He has really shown the world that he is a solid conservative and that he's a strong Republican and that he can govern such a big state like Florida. I understand that. And then there are others who are going to say, hey, you know what? Let's pick Tim Scott. Let's pick Tim Scott because that's going to that's going to help Trump win because Tim Scott has a great personality. He connects well with people. He speaks well on stage. He worked with Trump previously when Trump was the president, and Tim Scott being a U.S. senator from South Carolina, they worked on different things together, and so they have great compatibility. They have got great partnership, and so Tim Scott's going to be a great pick. So some people will say that. Some might say, hey, we need new energy. We need somebody younger, somebody who is going to help draw the younger people into the party. So let's pick Vivek Ramaswamy. So, we're going to hear all kinds of different viewpoints. And that's great. That's great because we have to have these conversations. Okay, Irene is giving me a thumbs up. Thank you, Irene. JW writes, I like Tim Scott too. I just don't think he would help pull many votes. That's also my opinion in a way, JW. Tim Scott is great. Tim Scott is great. He's great in the U.S. Senate. And I'm sure if Trump is elected as president again, and if Tim Scott stays in the Senate, that they can really work on some great things going forward. But is he going to be the number one pick for VP? I don't know. I don't know. I think Kristi Noem might be a stronger pick than Tim Scott. That's just my thought. Okay. But then again, at the end of the day, I'm going to say Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley. It's got to be Nikki Haley. I really think so. Irene writes, Tulsi has strong, loyal following, but I don't know if they would vote Republican ticket. Yeah, that's one thing. But you know what? I think politics is changing a lot. I think a lot of people are looking more at individuals than at the political labels. I think it's not a change that happens overnight, but I think a lot of people are now starting to look more at individuals. They are looking at the political figures who are running for office and what kind of people they are versus what political label they have. So JW is writing, did Trump say when he would decide by? No, I have not seen any announcement from Trump regarding when he's going to announce his VP pick. But let me tell you, I'm looking at some old news articles when Trump picked Mike Pence as VP, and he actually picked Mike Pence in July of 2016. So in July of 2016, Trump picked Mike Pence for vice president. And so so if you think in 2016 he made the announcement in July, so in 2024, if you think it's also going to be July, then we are still a couple months away from that announcement, right? But it's got to be by July because July is when the national convention is. And so we have to know who Trump is going to pick before the national convention, I think. And so that's why I think it'll be, the sooner the better. But also, I think there's a certain advantage to announcing late, because as soon as somebody is announced, the opposition, the Democrats, they are going to be do all kinds of opposition. They're going to be doing all kinds of opposition research, and they are going to be launching TV commercials, TV ads. They are going to be criticizing the vice presidential pick on all the news channels, and there'll be lots of fear mongering, like, oh, don't vote for the Trump, and whoever he picks, don't vote for that ticket for blah 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 reasons. So I think the longer Trump takes to announce who the VP pick is, that means that the Democrats will have less time to launch political attacks, uh, because it can get pretty nasty, I think, right? We have seen that before. We've seen all the ads that the Democrats and the liberals, they launch, criticizing Trump, and making fun of him, and criticizing his actions and policies. And so if Trump, let's say tomorrow Trump announces who he's picking for VP, then immediately the Democrats are gonna become busy trying to, launch different kinds of negative ads about that VP pick. But if Trump takes longer time to make that decision, if Trump makes that announcement late, that means between his announcement and the election, the Democrats have less time to do negative ads on that individual. So that's the advantage, I think, is for announcing late. So I'm hoping that maybe sometime in June or early July, we're going to find out. So let's wait and see. Uh, JW writes, JW writes, yes, it's changed more than I could have ever imagined since COVID. Yeah, politics has changed. Politics is changing. The dynamics is changing. Irene writes, individuals, that's me for sure, looking at individuals lately. Yeah, it's important. It's very important to look at individuals, especially, at the local races, when you're picking your mayor or your city councilor or your county supervisor. Those races are nonpartisan. Although people do have their political leanings, people do have their political affiliation. So a lot of candidates for mayor, although the mayoral race may be a nonpartisan race, but just from doing research on the candidates who are running for mayor, you can tell who's a conservative, who's a liberal. But I think it's becoming increasingly important to look at the individuals, right? You look at the individuals. JW writes, I don't even mind RFK. I just feel we need to get rid of all the Marxist ideology and address border security and inflation and crime. Yeah. So RFK, I don't think it's going to be RFK. I don't know if you mean RFK as VP. Obviously, RFK is running for president. By himself. He's running as an independent, but I don't think RFK will be the VP pick. RFK, he himself has a VP pick, which is, I think, Nicole Shanahan. I think that's the name. But RFK, regarding the vaccine issue and some of the other current issues, I think RFK is liked by a lot of the Republicans, but I still don't think that RFK would be great as president. I don't think so. Okay. So I would never vote for RFK. Okay. Is Trump going to pick RFK for VP? I hope not. I sincerely hope not. Okay. RFK obviously is he's presenting himself really as truly an independent individual. So I like his honesty. I like the fact that he's saying what he believes, and he's going against the Democrat establishment. Although his family is like a Democrat family, he's from a Democrat family, but he's going against the Democrats to try to establish his own name and reputation as an independent. So I appreciate all of that, but I would not vote for RFK. Okay, RFK is not getting my vote, and that's really obvious. Not gonna vote for him. I am a solid Republican. Okay, I'm just a solid Republican, especially when you have Trump on the ticket. Solid Republican, and I don't think that Trump should pick RFK. Trump should not pick RFK for VP. That's just my thought. Okay, because on the issue of climate change, I mean, go back and look at some of the things RFK said. Okay, so no, absolutely not for VP. Okay, we've got some really solid names on the Republican side, so not RFK. Uh, so uh, let's see. Uh, JW writes, "Oh no, I meant for president." Yeah, I mean RFK. So on the issue of vaccine and stuff, as I said, RFK, is saying things that a lot of Republicans like, but you got to look at the overall package. And I think the overall package is of RFK is not what we want in the White House. JW writes, I meant I would be okay with him. I just don't want any Democrat. Right? Exactly. So, JW, what you're saying, I definitely understand. So, what you're suggesting is, we need a Republican president. If we don't get a Republican president, RFK is still better than Biden. So RFK is that middle. Okay, if you're like, okay, if there's no Republican president, and if we don't want a Democratic president, then what's the alternative? So RFK is that alternative, and I think that's the basis of RFK's entire campaign. I think he's providing an alternative, and the question is, who are going to be the RFK voters? Will there be a lot of Republicans who don't want Trump and they're going to vote for RFK as an alternative? Or is it going to be mostly Democrats who are going to say, we can't vote for Joe Biden, so now let's vote for RFK? So, from that standpoint, the question is, whose votes will RFK take away? I previously said that you really can't take away votes, you have to earn votes. But I understand that in practical terms, I think what we're really dealing with here with RFK being included in the campaign is that he's gonna take some votes away from someone. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Trump? Is it going to be Biden? Now, as Republicans, we hope that RFK takes votes away from Biden. So less votes for Biden, more votes for RFK, and if the Republicans hold steady and they vote for Trump, then that means that Trump wins, right? So that's my hope. JW writes, I like him as a person and I agree he's an independent thinker. I'm sure there are some views and policies that I would disagree with. I'll vote for Trump. I just am desperate to get Democrats out. So JW, I completely understand what you're saying. What you're trying to say is that we can't afford to have a Democrat president for 4 more years because we're already, as a country, we have such crises. If we have another Democrat president, if we get another term of Joe Biden, then our country is going to be bankrupt. I mean, really, that's what's going to happen. So we don't want another Democrat. We want a Republican. If not a Republican, some folks are going to opt for RFK. I get that, but my focus is let's elect Trump and let some of the Democrats vote for RFK. If some of the Democrats vote for RFK, then good for us, right? JW writes, I'm hoping for Republican President, House, Senate to get back some normalcy and improve the economy. Exactly, JW. That's really like the most important way you can summarize this whole thing. That's the best summary. We need a Republican president. We need a Republican majority in the House, a strong majority, not just the one seat majority that we have. We need like several seat majority, maybe like a, I don't know, significant majority. Okay, we need like a 40 seat majority. Are we gonna get a 40 seat majority? I don't know, but the bigger the majority, the better. in the House, and in the Senate, we should have at least like 5 extra seats. We should have at least 5 extra seats, because sometimes, if it's too close, if we have like a 51-49 majority, 51-49 majority, what ends up happening is, you see some of the U.S. senators like Susan Collins and Mitt Romney and Lisa Murkowski, if they, for whatever reason, don't agree, they don't stay with the party line and they drift away a little bit on certain bills, then we don't get the majority. If we lose 2 or 3 votes, we don't get a majority vote on a bill. And so that's why I think it's important that we have like 55 seats or so. We should have 55-seat majority in the Senate, because that would give us some cushion. So even if we lose a few votes, we would still be okay. Now, what would be ideal is a 60-vote majority. Wouldn't that be awesome? A 60-vote majority. That'll be awesome. But is that going to happen? Is that possible? I don't know. I don't know if it's possible in 2024. We're gonna have to wait and see. All right. Let's see some comments here. JW writes, based on the polling I'm seeing, it really seems like RFK's votes are coming from both sides. It seems like sometimes more from the left and occasionally more from the right. Now, that's what I'm afraid of, JW. I'm afraid that some Republicans may end up voting for RFK because for whatever reason, they don't want Trump, right? There are Republicans who don't want to see Trump, and they may end up voting for RFK, and that's going to be very, very bad for our political and economic future. And that's why I'm thinking that Trump should pick Nikki Haley to get as many votes as possible. Because what I'm afraid might happen is, what if some of those Nikki Haley voters end up voting for RFK? I don't want to see that happen. So Trump should pick Nikki Haley to get as many Republican votes as Trump can, and then let some of the Democrats vote for RFK and split up the Biden votes and let Biden lose the election. JW writes, that would be awesome, but I don't think it's a possibility for 60. I doubt 55 too. Well, let's see. We were hoping for, like in 2022, we were hoping for like a big red wave during the election. We did have some significant victories, but we didn't get the kind of red wave that a lot of people were hoping for in 2022. So in 2024, what's going to happen? Hard to say. We don't know. But, even if we can get to like 53, 54 Senate seats, that would still be pretty awesome. 55 would be great. Irene writes, what about Kristi Noem? Well, Kristi Noem is one of the possible candidates for VP. We don't know for a fact yet, so we're going to have to wait and see, Irene. Don't know for sure. We will have to wait and see what happens. So anyone who's there who still has not participated in the live chat, please do so. I mean, look at what we're doing. JW, Irene, myself, we're just having a conversation. So write your question, write your comments, like this video. If you don't want to write anything, that's okay. Like this video, share a link of this video with your friends, family members, and your neighbors. Share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it on Truth Social. So please share it. Help me spread my message. Help me reach a bigger audience. Help me get more subscribers. Help me grow the size of this community. As I said, my channel continues to grow, so I truly appreciate that. And it does grow because you watch my videos, because you support this channel by liking. And right now, as of this moment, I have 1,205 subscribers. Those numbers fluctuate a little bit. I bet, sometimes people may unsubscribe, maybe 2 or 3 people unsubscribe, and then more people join. So that's why, to be safe, I'm going to say I have more than 1,000 200 subscribers, and I want to see it go to 1,300, and I want to see it go to 1,400 and 2,000 and beyond. So please help me get there. Irene writes, what's your opinion about her as VP candidate? I think Kristi Noem is going to be a solid vice presidential candidate. I think she's going to be great. She is going to be very loyal, as a VP. She's going to support our president in his work. And, a VP is just one step away from being the president. And so you want someone presidential in the position of the VP. And I think Kristi Noem is presidential. She obviously represents a really awesome state, South Dakota. And that also should help. And then, I think if she is there as VP, it would help Trump win a lot of votes from women, especially suburban women. And so I think she's going to be great. But still, I think, I personally, I like Kristi Noem more than Nikki Haley, if you ask me. I like Kristi Noem more, but I think for practical reasons, Nikki Haley would be will be a better pick to win in the general election. So my friends, any other questions? Irene, do you have any other questions? I know we've been here 1 hour and 30 minutes already. I may be wrapping this up here very soon. And so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But I'm happy to stay for another half hour, another hour. If you have things to ask, if more people join and they have questions. Kristi Noem is for a ban on abortion. Trump. So the abortion issue is going to be a huge one for this election. It's going to be a huge one. And let me tell you, just from my personal observation, there are Republican women who don't want to see a complete ban on abortion. Okay, they want to see limits, but they don't want to see a complete ban. Okay, there are some politicians out there who are going to say no abortion no matter what, complete ban on abortion no matter what. And there are other Republicans who say, well, no abortion, but abortion allowed only in case of rape, incest, or when the life of the mother is in danger. Certain exemptions, certain exceptions, right? So you've got really, really strong, hardline views on abortion. Some people who say no abortion, complete ban on abortion no matter what. And there are others who say we are pro-life, we don't support abortion, but there should be some exception. In certain cases, abortion could be allowed. So, and so Focus mentioned it. It wasn't JW. See, both of your icons showed up as pink. So I kind of mixed up JW and Focus. So I see a comment from Focus. So Focus, glad that you're here. Thank you for joining. So, at the end of the day, I think what's really important is to understand the role of the federal government. I don't think it's the federal government's job to legislate on abortion. I think it should be left up to the states. And I think in each state, the voters should be able to have a say on what kind of restrictions they want on abortion, right? And then obviously liberal states will have certain rules, certain laws, and red states will have different policies. And so I think in each state, the people should be able to decide. If you ask me, my view, I am a conservative, I'm pro-life. I'm very, very strongly pro-life. I'm pro-life. I'm repeating it again. I am very strongly pro-life. But I'll say this, that it should be left up to the states. The voters of the states should be able to determine what restrictions there should be or should not be on abortion, okay? But if you ask me, based on my faith, based on my upbringing, based on the principles that are part of my character, based on my views about life and spirituality and religion, I am strongly, strongly, strongly pro-life. Okay, that's just my view. But you know, for you know, if I wish to talk about governance and the role of government, it should be left up to the states, and it shouldn't be a federal government's decision. So that's just me. Focus writes, Ben Carson is center on that issue, will be great pick for Trump. Well, Ben Carson is great, but you're going to need someone who can be really energetic and who can draw the votes from the younger generation. I don't know if Ben Carson would be the right pick if you really want to draw the younger generation, okay? And so, because Ben Carson has a very very intellectual, serious, and you know, he's a scholar. He's a medical doctor. He speaks very softly. He's very calm. I think for VP, given the changing demographic, given the fact that a lot of young people are entering the voting age, they are becoming new voters. So you're gonna need someone who can connect really nicely with the younger generation. So if you pick somebody that senior as Ben Carson, it may not be, you know, and I'm once again, I'm thinking practically. And that's why I see Vivek Ramaswamy has a lot of support, but I'm going to say no, not Vivek. You want somebody who's not too senior, who's not too young, who's right there in the middle somewhere, can still energize a crowd, but isn't as senior as like Ben Carson. So I would say Nikki Haley, Kristi Noem, Ron DeSantis, I think they are in that group, which is, I think, the perfect age for VP. So, you know, and I think you know, just looking at it practically, it would make sense, because you've got Joe Biden, who's senior, you've got Trump, who's senior, although there's a difference between the two, because Joe Biden can't keep track of things. He doesn't know which staircase to use to get up on the stage. He doesn't know which way he's going to turn. He can't follow the instructions on the teleprompter. His staff people, they give him notes, and you know, he reads notes, and sometimes reporters can catch a glimpse of the note. They can zoom in and see what kind of instructions his staffers are giving him. So he's not fit to be president, to be honest with you. So I shouldn't compare Trump and Biden, because there's really no comparison. Trump is sharp. Trump is strong. Trump is energetic. Trump is, you know, humorous. He's charismatic. He's aggressive when needed. So Trump is fully presidential. But I know that a lot of people talk about the age, and they say both Trump and Biden are seniors. So I think for that reason, it would be important to have somebody relatively younger for VP. So somebody maybe in the 40s and 50s, rather than somebody who's you know, closer to Trump's age. So that's just my thought. Yeah, Focus writes, Biden don't know where he is. Exactly. Biden doesn't know. He loses track of where he is. And this is just sad. This is just sad. I mean, you know, Biden should really retire and enjoy his retirement. Just hang out on a beach, have some ice cream, read a book, take a nap, enjoy some sunshine. That's really what Biden should do. He shouldn't be, you know, in the White House. That's just my thought. All right. Okay, my friends. Any more questions for me? Any more thoughts? Anything you want to add? Please do so. We crossed. We're getting close to the 1 hour 40-minute time mark. I can stay here longer, not a problem. But if you want to continue the conversation, if not, then I can end this live stream, and I'll try to do another live stream tomorrow. Let me see. Any more questions? I don't see any more questions. I'm going to hang out here for a minute or two more. And if you have anything else you want to discuss, please do so. If not, then we'll conclude this live stream. And really, once again, I just want to say, Irene, thank you for tuning in. JW, I always appreciate you being here. Focus, thank you for continuing to support this channel and for tuning in. You are all wonderful. And this channel is here because of all of you, because you participate in the live chat window. And I'm not the only one starting the live stream and talking by myself. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your input. Thank you for contributing to the discussion. Thank you for asking questions and sharing your thoughts and comments. Thank you for agreeing with me. Thank you for disagreeing with me. I truly appreciate that. Let's continue this conversation. We will do more live streams. We crossed the 1 hour 41-minute time mark. Irene Baldwin writes, have a nice night. Thank you so much, Irene. JW writes, I'm going to head to bed. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you, JW. And thank you, Focus. I hope to see you all back again, tuning in for a future live stream. I'll try to do one tomorrow. So please stay connected with me. Before you leave, please give this video a thumbs up. Please give it a thumbs up. Please, please, please. I'm looking at how many thumbs up I'm getting. It's 3 so far. Please give it a thumbs up before you leave. I appreciate it very much. Thank you once again, my friends, Irene, Focus, JW. Thank you so very much. And to all those who tuned in but did not participate in the live chat window, I want to thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. Let's continue this conversation. Thank you so very much. I'll be back again with more videos, more live stream. And have a wonderful night, my friends. Have a wonderful night. Thank you.